Okay, this is my second Let's Learn, Let's Code video on the NTSC color. So this is actually a two-part series. This is based on either the NTSC basics or the now NTSC Chroma. So if you haven't already if you don't already know about NTSC or you haven't seen my previous video about learning about NTSC, click here now. Or if you don't really know much about how NTSC encodes its Chroma, and you're interested in that, and this video is probably not going to make as much sense at all if you don't, and this also covers how we do it on the AVR, click here now. But if you've seen all those videos or you know all that stuff, then excellent, let's get moving. I have here my TV, and I have it with the little board that I bit-banged like the NTSC video on right here. And I also have a little AVR programmer, and I have a keyboard. So we'll be messing with all of these, and we'll see where we get in about 20 minutes. The same pins used for programming are used for color and whatnot. And so here I have the main RiffWriter screen. I'm going to press escape, make sure it kind of works the way I'd want, and it looks like it does. So I'd say that we probably have something to go on. Let's not take a look at RiffWriter since that's using bit banging for getting the video out. CD NTSC3. Let's take a look at this other little demo I have right here. So this is much simpler. It's just a text at the top and a patchwork of colors. Across the top is where the chroma is 0. Then on each layer down, it increases the duty cycle of the chroma more and more and more. And you can also kind of see a phase shift going on as it goes down. It's because instead of it being centered around the mark, it's actually dragging it off to one side. So that's why you can kind of see the colors being somewhat continuous in this direction as well. So let's take a look at how this works. So video.c here. Actually, let's take a look at ntsc.c. Unlike the previous video where we would set the blank level and then wait 4.7 microseconds, in this one we set the blank level, we wait 1 microsecond, and then we set up TCNT2, the timer 2, to be 0, and we set the pulse width to be 1, which actually makes it too wide. And then we go enable the PWM pin, and we wait 2.5 microseconds. So what's actually going on here is we're waiting the 1 microsecond, then we're sending this color burst because we're enabling the chroma pin, and then we're turning it back off and waiting 2 more microseconds right here, and then we start sending the rest of the frame. If you want, you can look down below. The way we're actually doing it is we've configured OCR2A to be 7, and what that means is that the period on the timer 2 will actually be 8 clock cycles, and if you calculate out 28.636 megahertz, which is what this particular clock is running at. We divide that by 8, we get 3.579 megahertz, which is 3.58 megahertz, which is what we actually need in order to run this whole thing, make it work the way we'd want. So that's how we're doing that. So the big difference here between this and the previous video is that this one is sending a color burst. Now, let's take a closer look here at how exactly we're getting this patchwork. So the first thing that we do is we say, okay, well, if it's the first 16 lines, it's not visible, let's not worry about it. Cool. If it's in the next 16 lines, though, if it's less than 0x20, so less than 32, then what we want to do is we want to display test number 5. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to display that text up there that you see on the screen right here. The way this works is not very much unlike how we did in our previous video. About the only really key difference is we're actually setting the NTSC port directly instead of using an if statement, and we've unrolled the loop. So we're still reading the font data the same, and we're still reading the byte in the font data, but the big key is that the values are all unrolled in this loop. Okay, and now the more interesting thing, this patchwork of checkerboards of color. The way we're doing this is we're resetting TCN2 to the timer. We don't really need to do that. Actually, we don't really need to do any of this here. Let's delete that. Make sure it still works to not have broken anything. Okay, it looks like it still works. And what we end up doing is we set the timer. TCNT2 is 7, so it's at a known value. and then we can set, depending on which line we're on, the intensity, the OCR2B. So the very first one is actually 7. This is if you set it to 7, so it never turns on. Then if you set it to 0, it turns on just a little bit. 1, it turns on more, and so the idea is by changing the duty cycle to closer and closer to 50%, this intense yellow here, the brighter it's going to be versus this kind of very pale color up here. So this is as intense as you can be, as square as it can be, and this is as light as it can be, and this is just no chroma at all. Okay, and so we have this nice field here. Let's take a look at exactly how this is doing it. What's going on is we're saying for 8 pixels across the side of the screen, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we go run this code here. So we set the port to be one value, kind of a darker value, and then we set the port to be a brighter value, and then at the end of this we advance the chroma. So if I say minus equals 4, you'd think, oh well, it should still change or something. Let's just go see what that looks like. You see that no, in fact it doesn't change across the screen. And that's because this command here takes 4 cycles to execute itself. So the problem being is that it's going to advance even if we don't do anything like that. So we're going to have to actually make it advance by more than just 1, or more than just 4. So somewhere either 5 or 3, which means it'll advance one direction or the other. And we get this nice little loop going on, and that's just how that's going. And then at the end of it, we set it back to black level. And if our line is off the bottom of the screen, then we just don't do anything. It's just done. So let's not worry about that right now. Let's do something a little bit more interesting. Let's just I don't know. Let's just get some keyboard input. So what I'm going to do to get keyboard input is I'm going to go copy that from the game folder. So game/keyboard.star. I'm going to add it to my my make file here. And I'm going to do something, say, I actually want to go copy out how to do it first. So game, main. So in main here of the game, this is the riff writer. We have keyboard.h, we're going to include that. So let's open up main on our little demo here. Let's include keyboard.h. In here we also have an onKey event. So anytime a key is pressed on the keyboard, this function gets called. So onKey, key is C. Let's say if it's down, so that means if the user is pressing it, and if the character is A, then we're going to say toggle color. What this will do is it'll say toggle color is now not toggle color. So and what that'll do is it'll start it, let's start it with 0 and it'll go to 1, and anytime the user clicks it, it's going to invert that value. Let's also do the rest of the stuff to set up the keyboard. I think you got to call this function here, and we might be ready to go. So now we have this toggle color value that's going to be changing back and forth. So let's make use of that. Let's say here, if toggle color, then we're going to enable the chroma pin, otherwise we're not. Second thing is we're going to have to actually expose this toggle color value. Okay, let's make this, see where we end up. Okay, so now it's all gray. Let's see if this works. I'm going to click A, and like a charm, check that out. Every time I hit A, it toggles the color. And the neat thing about these keyboards is you can press and hold them and they'll actually behave the way you'd expect. Just for the sake of kind of messing around here, let's make it so that I don't know, we'll make a cursor that we can go around the screen with, and deselect these individual squares. I have no idea why you'd want to do it, but it just seems like a decent little test. So here in our main, I'm going to have two other things. I'm going to call it unsigned char cursor X, unsigned char cursor Y, and let's have a bit mask for all of the selected ones. So we'll be able to actually turn off these or change which ones are on and off. So let's say unsigned char on map, and it's going to be 8 things across the top and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things down, so 8 times 5. So instead of A toggling color, let's make T toggle color. And if C is equal to A, we'll go move the cursor left. And so that would mean if cursor X is greater than 0, cursor X minus minus. So cursor X and cursor Y should probably start at 0. And so cursor A is here, SD, or sorry, it's ASDW, not ASDF. We're going to use first-person shooter kind of stuff. So AS would be down, so it would be cursor Y. If it's less than 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, let's make it 4. Then cursor Y plus plus. What this means is we don't want the cursor to go off the ends of the screen. So D would be increasing it, so if cursor X is less than 7, then cursor X plus plus. And if we're going up, if cursor Y is greater than 0, then we can go up. Now, if C is, say, space, which means that the user is pressing the space bar, then we'll want to go toggle the on map. So on map bracket cursor X times 8 plus, actually it's cursor Y times 8 plus cursor X equals, let's just flip it back around. Okay, so now we have a little system where the user can go click left, right, up, down using AS and DW and press space to go toggle these values in the on map. So what exactly could we do with this? Let's see here. Well, we have this function here that it knows which line it's on, which is S line, and it knows which cell over it is, which is P. Let's also give ourselves a little bit more time. And we're going to want to look in this toggle map. So let's go back to main. We're going to want to export on map. And in here I have, wrong thing. In here I have the export unsigned, the toggle color. Now I'm going to export this on map thing here. And I'm going to have to say we're going to want to disable or enable the DDRD based on any of this stuff. So let's see here. Let's not use toggle color anymore. Or actually, heck yes, let's use toggle color. We'll say it for each and every one though. So if toggle color and actually take it back. Let's leave that as is. Let's in here say if on map bracket P plus, and we have to figure out which line we're on, so that would actually be, I guess it's this thing right here. I don't know, we'll see how that works out. Let's see, that should be S line, and no, that's definitely wrong. That's not at all right. It's this one. Then that means if it's on, we can go execute this code. Otherwise, we're going to go execute this code. And if it's black level, then we're going to want to just wait 2 microseconds. So the idea is if the button is on, or if the cell is on in this particular location, then we're going to want to do what we normally did. Otherwise, we'll just make this particular cell black. And what we're actually doing here is, it should be times 8. We're saying if P, the cell in the X direction, this would be cursor X, plus this, which is kind of like cursor Y, I guess, up and down. If that's true, then we're going to draw the cell. If not, it's going to be black. Let's just see if this works. It's probably not. I probably messed something up. Okay, that's interesting. Let's press space and see what happens. So something is going on. I'm pressing up and down and up and down, and it looks like it's kind of working. The spacing is all wrong though, so we're going to have to take a look at what's really going on there. Try to figure out why the spacing is so terrible and why the color is off. So let's take a closer look here. Number one, since I can't go to the top line, it's very possible that that's going off the top of the screen. So it could be because I'm indexing too low. Let's give that a shot. I'm going to say -1 instead of -2. Okay, that's promising. Ah, this is better. So now, if I go across the screen, or down the screen, or back, it's all fine. But you'll notice that the shaping is wrong. So that means it takes less time to draw an off block than it does an on block. Let's go back and try to fix that. That would be why. We're only spending 2 microseconds on a black block, but 4 microseconds or more on a white block. So let's just say 4.1 here. Let's try building that again. Okay, let's check this out. This looks promising. It looks like we're off by a little bit. You can see that as I enable or disable a given cell, it kind of changes a little bit. Let's make it 4.2 microseconds. And also, the color's not working. So, not really sure what's going on there. Maybe we have to toggle it. Nope, toggling the color is not... Oh, there it is. Okay. Wow, that's really, really ugly. Like, uniquely, terribly ugly. Maybe we should only enable the color if the cell is on. So let's do that here. So if it's on, we enable the color. If it's off, we disable the color. Actually, we should probably put that in the color toggle thing. So if color toggle, then we enable the cell. If not, then we disable the chroma. Let's give this another shot. Probably want to turn off chroma immediately at the end of it every time. And let's make it 4.4 microseconds since it looks like we're still off by some. Let's give it a shot now. Oops, toggle the color on. So now we have a mechanism by which we can draw little squares on the screen. So this makes me pretty happy that we can actually get the colors the way we would want to have them. And it looks like it's working fairly well. Okay. Well, looks like we're actually taking a little bit too much time. Let's slow this down a little bit. So it'd be 1.8 and 4.2. Because as you can see, we're actually going off the end of the screen, and that's causing the sync to get kind of messed up. Let's see if this is going to cause it to get messed up. No, this looks pretty good. Let's see. Colors. Yay! Okay. So what we actually were seeing there is it was taking too long to draw the cell. Let's see if we can draw a little smiley face. I don't even know if we have enough pixels for it. Nope, maybe. Okay, that's a pretty crummy smiley face. But, I don't know. This looks like something interesting. It's kind of what I was after. Really crude, but I guess what else can you code in about 18 minutes unless you're really good at coding? So yeah, this is a little bit of chroma, a little bit of color, just kind of messing around with some colors in this kind of system. And hopefully you guys found this interesting. Okay, I had some fun with this last Let's Learn, Let's Code thing. Both of these NTSC ones, but it was a lot of work. So I'm curious, if you sat all the way through, which you might have if you're seeing this part right here, and you liked it and you want me to make more, tell me about it. Go comment on this video and I'll see if I can. Give me some feedback. Tell me how you liked it, what you did like, what you didn't like, and I'll try to go in that direction in the future. If I don't get any responses, I'm not going to really be making any more of these because it's just not worth it for me to go spend the extra several hours it takes to go make these videos. So if you can, give me a heads up. How am I doing? What would you like? And do you want to see more of these? Thanks again for watching.